Angela stood quietly in the long line at the bank. She wore a plain brown coat and simple black shoes. Her hair was tied back into a neat bun, and her eyes looked tired, but strong. She held an old leather purse close to her side. The bank was busy that afternoon. People wore suits, fancy watches, and carried shiny briefcases. The air smelled of expensive perfume and coffee. The floor shined, and the large golden logo on the wall said, Riverside National Bank. Angela didn't look like she belonged. At least, that's what some people thought. A woman in high heels looked at her from head to toe and whispered something to the man beside her. He chuckled and nodded. Angela heard them but didn't say a word. She simply stepped forward as the line moved. A young security guard standing near the counter stared at Angela too. His eyes narrowed. He leaned toward the teller and whispered, She looks off. Maybe she's in the wrong place. The teller glanced at Angela and raised an eyebrow. Then it happened. The branch manager, a man in a blue suit with slick hair, came walking over quickly. His voice was loud and sharp. Excuse me, Mom, he said, standing in front of Angela. Can I help you? Angela smiled politely. Yes, I'm here to open a business account. The manager's face changed. He looked her up and down, then gave a forced smile. A business account, he repeated, almost laughing. Do you have the required documents? Angela nodded and opened her purse. Yes, I do. I have my ID, tax form, and... The manager raised his hand and cut her off. Ma'am, we usually serve a different type of client. You may want to try a smaller bank downtown. Angela looked confused. I have everything needed. I just need a manager too. I am the manager, he said firmly, and I think it's best if you leave. Some customers turned their heads. One woman even took out her phone and started recording. Angela stood still. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She looked directly at the man and asked, Why are you asking me to leave? He gave a cold smile. We have the right to refuse service, especially if someone doesn't look professional. Angela looked around. No one said a word. The staff behind the counters pretended to type. The guards stepped closer. A moment later, 2 security guards walked up behind her. Ma'am, one of them said, We'll have to escort you out. Angela held her documents tightly. Her hands shook, but her face stayed calm. Very well, she said softly. I won't argue. As she walked toward the exit, a few people in the line laughed quietly. One woman whispered, She must be crazy, walking into a bank like this, dressed like that. Angela didn't look back. She walked slowly but with dignity. At the glass doors, she turned around one last time. Her eyes met the bank manager's. She spoke in a low, steady voice. You'll remember my name. Then she stepped outside into the cold wind. She stood on the sidewalk, looking up at the tall building. The golden letters above the bank entrance seemed to shine even brighter under the sun. Angela whispered to herself, This isn't the end. Not for me. She pulled out her phone and checked something on the screen. Then she walked away. From across the street, the woman who had been recording the incident kept her camera rolling. She didn't know it yet, but that video would soon be shared around the world. And no one, not even the proud manager inside, could imagine what Angela was planning next. Because Angela wasn't just any woman. She had a past. She had a plan. And now, she had a reason. Angela sat in a small, quiet room. Her hands held a warm cup of tea. Her eyes were fixed on the video playing on her laptop, the one where she was humiliated. It had gone viral. Thousands of people were watching it. Some were angry. Some were crying. Some were just silent. But Angela? She was planning. Full plot, approximately 800 words. The next morning, Angela sat in her small apartment. The walls were bare, the furniture old, but there was a soft strength in the way she sat. Calm, still, focused. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Messages, emails, Calls. The video of her being kicked out of the bank had exploded online. People were angry. Racist bank throws out black woman. One post said. She stayed calm. She has power, said another. Angela took a slow breath. She wasn't surprised. She had seen the world do worse. But this time, she was ready. She picked up a notebook from her shelf. Inside were pages of plans, business ideas she had been working on for years. Each one was written with care. Diagrams, costs, names, contacts. She had the blueprint for a company. Angela had always dreamed of starting her own business, a financial services firm that helped poor families, single mothers, small business owners, and others like her. But every bank she went to had turned her away. Every loan request had been denied. Every meeting had ended with fake smiles and closed doors. Until yesterday, when the humiliation became public. Now, people were watching. The world had seen how she was treated, and suddenly, offers began coming in. Her email was full of messages. I saw the video. I'm a lawyer. I'll help you for free. Angela, I'm an investor. Let's talk. You're brave. Let's build something together. Angela smiled softly. She was used to being ignored. Now people were paying attention. But she didn't want pity. She wanted power. Angela opened her laptop and began typing. Her fingers moved fast. She reached out to old friends, mentors, and professors. She applied for business grants. She scheduled meetings with angel investors. She looked for black-owned venture capital firms. And one by one, people began to join her. She found a friend from college, now a web designer. I'll build your company's site for free, he said. An old professor offered to help write the financial plan. 2 women she once worked with offered to run operations. Angela didn't waste time. Every second counted. Within weeks, her company had a name, Empower Capital. And it had a mission, to help the ones the world forgets. The office wasn't big, just one room in a shared co-working space downtown. But it was hers. Angela hung a simple sign on the door. She placed a plant near the window. And she worked day and night. She met with community leaders. She signed up new clients, women trying to start bakeries, barbers opening shops, young people launching tech ideas. Angela's company didn't just say yes. It said, let us show you how. She taught people how to manage money, grow businesses, and build credit. She gave loans when others said no. She brought hope into rooms where doors had always been shut. And people noticed. Soon, newspapers wrote stories. TV shows invited her. Blogs posted interviews. And every time, they showed the old bank video first. The same bank that had thrown her out now watched as her name became known across the city. And Angela, she stayed humble, but inside, she remembered everything. Every laugh, every stare, every word they spoke when they thought she was small. This was just the beginning. Because while the world was watching her grow, Angela was looking at the bank's CEO chair, and in her mind, it wasn't empty anymore. It had her name on it. Angela stood across the street from the same bank that once embarrassed her. This time, she wasn't wearing her old brown coat. She wasn't holding an old purse. She stood tall in a black business suit, holding a folder marked Acquisition Proposal. The cold wind blew softly, but the fire in her eyes, that had never gone out. Full plot, approximately 800 words. It had been 1 year since that terrible day at Riverside National Bank. 1 year since they laughed at her clothes, mocked her hair, escorted her out like she was a problem. But Angela had not wasted that year. Her company, Empower Capital, had grown faster than anyone expected. She now had over 50 employees, 3 branch offices, and hundreds of clients, most of them people who had once been rejected like her. Small business owners, single parents, dreamers, fighters, people who just needed someone to believe in them. And Angela had done more than just help them. She had created something powerful, something respected, something loud. Her name was now on magazine covers. Her face had appeared on morning shows. But fame wasn't her goal. She had something else in mind. Something bigger. She was going to buy Riverside National Bank. At first, her team didn't believe it. "Angela, that's the same bank that threw you out." "I know," she said, smiling. "But they don't know what's coming." Angela had been watching Riverside Bank closely. Behind their shiny gold signs and fancy suits, trouble was brewing. Bad investments, poor leadership, falling stock prices. Angela did her homework. She quietly started buying small amounts of the bank's public shares. She didn't use her name. She had smart lawyers and silent partners. Soon, she had enough stock to get noticed. Then, she did something bold. She requested a meeting with the bank's board of directors. At first, they laughed. Until they saw her financials. Until they saw the reach of Empower Capital. Until they saw the proposal, a full acquisition. Angela was offering to buy their bank. Not just invest in it. Not just save it. Buy it. Own it. The board hesitated. But their numbers were bad. Their CEO had just resigned under pressure. And Angela's offer? It was real. It was strong. It was legal. One older board member asked her during the meeting, "Why do you want this bank?" Angela looked him straight in the eye and said, "Because once upon a time, this bank told a woman like me that she didn't belong. I'm here to make sure no one else ever hears that again." The room went silent. No one had anything to say. 2 weeks later, the deal was done. Angela became the new majority owner of Riverside National Bank. And on a cold Monday morning, she returned to the place where it all began. But this time, she wasn't standing in line. She walked through the same glass doors. But now, the guards held them open. Employees stared, confused. Some recognized her face. Whispers filled the air. A familiar face walked out from behind the counter. The same branch manager who had once told her to leave. His eyes widened. Angela gave a calm smile and said, "Good morning. I believe we have a meeting scheduled." He looked frozen, pale, speechless. Angela stepped past him and headed into the main office, where her name was now printed on the glass door. Angela Miller, Regional Director. She didn't need revenge. She had something stronger. Victory. Angela sat at the same desk where she was once rejected. But now, it was hers. The nameplate in front of her read, "Angela Miller, Regional Director." The manager who once insulted her now waited outside her office. Nervous, sweating, holding a report. Angela didn't yell. She didn't curse. She simply said, "Let's talk about how we treat people in this bank, starting with the ones who look like me." And just like that, the bank began to change. Full plot, approximately 800 words. Angela's return shook the entire bank. Some staff welcomed her with respect. Others were quiet, embarrassed, unsure what to say. The old branch manager, Mr. Harlan, tried to avoid her at first, but Angela called him in on her first full day. He entered the office slowly, holding a folder, not meeting her eyes. Angela looked up from her desk. "Sit down," she said softly. He sat, clearing his throat. "You remember me?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, I do. I didn't know." Angela stopped him. "You didn't need to know who I was. You only needed to know I was a human being." The room went silent. Angela opened a file. This bank rejected over 70% of loan applications from working-class people in this area, mostly Black and Latino families. "You know why." He stayed quiet. Angela stood and walked to the window. She looked out at the street where she once stood in the cold. "I came here for help, and you made me feel small." She turned around. "But I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to make sure this bank never treats anyone like that again." Angela introduced new training for every staff member, focused on respect, equity, and service. She reviewed loan policies. She changed approval systems. She created a new department that focused on helping small businesses and low-income families. And she didn't stop there. She hired new tellers from local neighborhoods. She gave scholarships to young students studying finance. She started free financial literacy classes in the community room of the bank. Within months, Riverside Bank's reputation began to shift. Customers returned. People who once felt ignored now felt welcomed. Angela walked through the halls of the bank with purpose. She greeted every guard, teller, and janitor with kindness, because she remembered what it felt like to be invisible. Some of the staff who once laughed at her now asked for her advice. She helped them too. Angela didn't lead with pride. She led with strength, with grace, with the memory of her pain. One afternoon, an older black woman came into the bank. Her hand shook as she held her small purse. Angela saw her and came over. "Can I help you?" she asked kindly. The woman looked nervous. I wanted to open a savings account, but I don't know if I have enough money." Angela sat beside her and smiled. "You have enough to start. You matter. Let's begin." That moment went viral too. Not because of a video, but because of word of mouth. People told stories, shared what they saw. "This bank is different now," they'd say. "There's a woman there who understands." Angela's name became a symbol, not of revenge, but of transformation. Her company, Empower Capital, continued to grow. And now she used her power inside the bank to build a bridge between both worlds. Riverside Bank, once cold and cruel, had become a safe place. Because one woman, once pushed out for looking too poor, came back stronger, smarter, and full of quiet fire. And she wasn't done yet. Angela had one final move. A plan that would not just change her city, but change the entire banking system. The lights dimmed in the large city hall. News cameras pointed toward the stage. Bankers, reporters, and city officials all sat waiting. Then a voice said, "Please welcome the new CEO of Empower Capital. And now, the owner of 4 major banks across the state, Angela Miller." She stepped onto the stage, calm, powerful, beautiful, and when she spoke, the whole room went quiet. Full plot, approximately 800 to 850 words. Angela had done the impossible. She turned the same bank that once insulted her into a place of fairness and respect. But she wasn't done. Her heart still remembered the people who couldn't walk into any bank without feeling judged. She remembered the single mother who cried in her office after being denied a loan. She remembered the elderly man who said he'd been saving coins for 20 years, but no one treated him seriously. Angela knew that changing one bank was not enough. So she went bigger. In silence, over the next 6 months, she made quiet deals, buying shares, forming partnerships, and building trust. She didn't raise her voice in public. She let her results speak. And finally, she bought out 3 more struggling banks, each one known for rejecting and mistreating poor or working-class people. One by one, she cleaned them up, trained their staff, promoted honest workers, fired the ones who didn't care, and she gave every branch a new name. Hope Bank. When asked why she picked that name, she said, "Because when I stood in line that day, I didn't feel hope. I want every customer, no matter their race, job, or clothes, to feel like they matter." Because they do. Her answer went viral. Even more than the first video. People across the country began writing letters, sending emails, thanking her for standing up, not with anger, but with vision. One morning, Angela received a letter. It was from the same manager who kicked her out long ago, Mr. Harlan. He had resigned a few weeks earlier. The letter read, "Angela, you showed me what real leadership looks like. I was wrong. Thank you for changing lives, even mine." Angela placed the letter in her drawer. She didn't need revenge. She had growth. Then came the big moment. She was invited to speak at the statewide banking conference, a place filled with the richest, most powerful bank owners in the region. People who once ignored her. This time, they were listening. Angela walked onto the stage, dressed simply, hair natural, voice steady. She took a deep breath and said, "You all know me as the CEO now, but once I was just a woman in a coat, a woman no one wanted to serve. And today, I'm not here to brag. I'm here to challenge you. Every bank here has the power to change, not just with money, but with dignity. You can choose profit and respect. You can choose success and compassion. If I, just a girl from the East Side, can build 4 banks that serve people right, then what's your excuse?" The crowd was silent. Then slowly, people stood, one by one, and clapped. The moment was bigger than applause. It was history. Angela walked off the stage and smiled. She didn't build her empire out of hate. She built it out of pain, turned into purpose. Her journey started with shame, but it ended with power. And as she got into her car that night, her assistant asked, "So, what's next?" Angela looked out the window, smiled, and said, "Next, I'm opening 10 more branches, because I'm not done giving people back their worth."